guys, Mark here. Welcome back to the channel. I just spent 40 minutes with Chip and McKenzie Ellis doing an interview, and it was awesome. I'm a little bit of a fanboy, so I'm kind of geeked out a bit. I'm a huge fan of Chip's through his NHRA Pro stock motorcycle days. But anyways, regardless, we had a great interview. We talked a lot about outboard drag boat racing, their program, what's going on with the scene and that sort of thing, and it was awesome. Super stoked. So anyways, you guys want to watch it to the end. I got to break it down into two parts just because of the length of it and issues with uploading and stuff, but please do me a favor, follow it right to the end. You're gonna want to follow it to the end because it's really good. And so anyways, thank you, enjoy. Here's part one. All right, guys, here we go. So listen, I'm super excited about this, and I'm gonna fanboy out a little bit just because I'm sure, as you know, I think we've discussed this before, and had a background in drag bike racing up here. And so I've been a fan of yours, Chip, for a long time, you know, kind of followed what you've done and whatnot, and in the Grudge scene, and obviously NHRA Pro stock motorcycle and whatnot. So if I get a little bit geeked out here, just mind me here, because I'm a little bit of a fan. So kind of what I wanted to touch on first, obviously, I think the audience for this is going to be based around outboard drag boat racing, and we're going to get to that real soon. But I do kind of want to start back at the beginning and touch on the NHRA Pro stock stuff. And to me, that's a pretty big deal. So just always kind of curious about what was your first ride? Who were you with? And how did that all come about when you finally got to NHRA?
Well, I rode, my first NHRA deal was with George Bryce at Star Racing.
Yeah. And
the way I got the deal was my wife made up some little 3 pamphlet flyers, and we went to Atlanta Dragway because it was close to the house. And, I just walked around and handed them out. And, it was a couple months later, George Bryce called me, and he's like, "Hey, man, we got this street bike that we'd like you to come ride. I know you're a street bike guy. And see how it goes." So we flew out to Viola, Wisconsin there to SNS, because this is when SNS was first coming out with the V-Twin.
Yeah. And
went out there, rode their street bike, and just so happened they had the Pro Stock bike in the truck. And they asked me did I want to ride it, and I said, well, heck yeah, I want to ride it. And then on the first pass, I made a really good run, and it was just kind of took off from there. So we packed up our stuff in North Carolina and moved to Americus, Georgia, and that's kind of where it all began.
That's awesome. And had you ever rode a bar bike at that point?
Yeah, I rode funny bike for Kawasaki.
Okay.
From 2000 to 2003, and my best ET is 650 at 229.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And that was on a turbocharged ZX11. Kind of some old, it wasn't old school back then, but obviously it's old school stuff now, but the thing, it was pretty fast back in the day, for 1100cc motor.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd always race street bike stuff and, street race and short wheelbase. And then we never had Pro Street up here in Canada, or not that I could have ever afforded, but we had a class that was called King of the Street, and it was kind of loosely based on Pro Street rules, but a lot tighter, kind of like 66-inch wheelbase and whatnot. And I was riding a Busa for a friend of mine. It was a 780 bike, and a friend of mine had an 880 bar bike, 880 at best, and he was always on to me about, he goes, "Oh, you got to make some hits on this thing." And I was like, "Hell no, that thing scares the shit out of me." And he's like, "What do you mean? Like, you're riding no bar bike and stuff?" I was like, "Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the idea of that flat tire and stuff." And I was always fascinated by them, but I was just never really versed on them and wasn't too sure. But anyways, that's super cool. And I've always followed George, and he's done a lot for that sport, obviously, and lots of different riders have come through Star and gone on to be super successful in other avenues and whatnot. So that's really cool. And McKenzie, you're building a new bike now, I see, and it looks like a cut frame Busa. Is that the idea?
Yeah, we just got it painted. We just got the motor done, but we're not ready to put it in yet.
Yeah, you guys got so much on your plate, right? So
yeah, pretty busy.
Yeah, and if you, I remember the dirt bike. I remember that because I always thought that was super cool. I kind of wanted to do something like that up here, and it never happened. But have you rode other bikes in different styles and whatnot as well along the way?
No, that was the first bike I actually rode down the track. And it was fun. I really liked it. So this is like a big step from that little, dirt bike to an actual booster. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure you're going to be just fine. You're just fine. But no, that's really cool. And then do you still get out a little bit, Chip, on some stuff? I mean, I know you ran some races here a few weeks ago, some NHRA stuff, but are you still riding some Grudge bikes and doing some stuff like that?
Yeah, we in January I went down to Orlando, Florida, and raced one of the fastest Grudge bikes in the country, a GSXR 1000 that they call Dead Man Walking, and had a lot of fun with that. And I'll tell you, the thing that we've been playing with a lot with lately is these daggone Honda Groms.
Yeah, they're cool.
Which is a friend of mine owns a company called Gromfathers, and he has the fastest Groms in the country. I mean, he's got one that has a Honda CR 450 motor in it, and then the other ones that he has are making 40 horsepower, and we're running low sevens in the 8th mile with them, with 12-inch wheels and, running right at 90 miles an hour. And then the one with the Honda 450 motor, we're running 670s right at 100 miles an hour. So I've been having a lot of fun with that. I ran Las Vegas and Charlotte this year aboard Matt Smith's one of his bikes, and so I just keep my toes in the water. I did some testing for Jerry Savoy on his new 4-valve Suzuki. Went to rode his bike. He couldn't make it, so they called me in to make some laps on it. So yeah, I'm still doing stuff. We're just looking to get back to the boat. We finished off really strong last year, and we brought it back to the shop, and we stripped it down to the bare hull, and then we started from scratch. So yeah. I mean, that's kind of where we're at. Her motorcycle project, we kind of took it on because we didn't think it'd be that much work, and which it hasn't been. But we just we want to get the boat running, but we've been really blessed that our shop is super busy. So we've just been working. Kenzie's she's getting it done here, welding everything that
I see that.
That I can put it on.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And turning out some quality work there. And you got to school the old man sometimes there, Kenzie, and show him how it's done, or what?
Not really, sometimes.
No, you're doing some really great stuff.
I'm going to tell you all right now, she welds better than I can.
Oh man, I've seen some pictures, and it's pretty impressive for sure. You guys got a good gig there. That's super cool. So yeah, that's cool. So I wanted to touch on the motorcycles, but I am obviously super excited to get to go into the boat. So one thing that I wanted to now, did you have a history in boats, Chip, or is this just come about in the last couple of years, or?
I got my first boat when I was 18 years old. As soon as I graduated high school, I've always had a love for boats, and I went and got a 13-foot Checkmate, had a 70 Evinrude on it, and I drove that around for about a year or two, and then I got a 1968 Maltese Magnum Missile, and we put a brand new 200 on it, and that was back in 1989. And I used to run up and down the St. Johns River down in Florida a lot. I've always had a love for boats, and then we kind of got out of it for a while because we started racing motorcycles, and then around 99 or 2000, I got an Allison XR 2002.
Yeah. And
we've had 5 or 6 Allisons ever since.
Yeah, that's very cool. I didn't know that. I remember I went down to Jasper, Tennessee in 2019. I just started racing in 2019 myself, and I went down to Jasper in 2019, and I just went to watch. But I think you were driving Jason Matthews' boat at that time, I believe. Is that right? Did you race that in 2019 or was that 2020? Yeah, 2019.
Yeah, I believe that was 2019.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No,
so Jason had a bass boat, and we took it to Tabor City and ran one race with it, and we won that race in 1,600-pound class.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, he's all in,
Oh, yeah.
And so we were fortunate enough to get some of his scraps that we put on Kenzie's boat. And that's what really helped our program out with her boat.
Yeah, that's really cool. And so I'm gonna touch on a race, and then I'm gonna backtrack. I think it was it Bainbridge, Kenzie, that you won this year in the fall? Yeah, that's super cool. And what class was that?
It was the 1,400-pound class, so they didn't have any, they call it modified production.
Modified production.
But they didn't have any boats, so they did what they're doing now, where they combined
River Racer,
Super Stock, and we had a nice little boat count in there.
Yeah.
So
That's
it was a combination, and she had some real tight races with Glenn Bolin and David Allen. I mean, they were just really, really good, tight races. So, like I said, we're looking forward to getting back out.
Yeah, I bet you are. And so going into that race, and you guys had done a lot of testing and you've done some racing and stuff. And Kenzie, was the XR01 the first boat that you ever drove, or had you drove some other stuff before? Or?
I've driven the
XB03.
Yeah, but I've never driven anything like that.
Yeah.
That rate of speed. But obviously, we started out, going 60, then going 70, then going 80.
Yeah.
And I've been driving for like a year and a half this boat, but I've driven, plenty of boats.
Oh, of course you have. Yeah, for sure. And you definitely caught on to it. I mean, those are no easy boat to drive for sure. And but you make it look easy, so good for you. Get that up on the pad and let it fly. So that's really cool. We've got a couple young ladies up here in Canada. Katie Brick, she races an STV and she does really well. And then we got a young lady. Her dad, Ted Bigelow, has been racing for a number of years, and I think she's 16 years old. And same thing. He's got an XR. No, I'm sorry. He has an SS. He's got a bunch of Allisons. Anyways, make a long story short, they have a bass boat too that she's been driving, and from what I've heard from a few people that have seen it, very, very well too, at 60 and 70 miles an hour right up on the pad and doing good. And I imagine, so she's going to be out in a year or so up here. I think, we got to be a little bit older up here to race, but yeah, it's really, really cool to see. Definitely need to see some more female participation out there, for sure. So you guys are doing real good.
Yeah.
So what are the plans for this year? Like, we want to talk about class and what series you guys plan on racing. Are you going to do a few different ones? What's it looking like?
We're going to try to shoot for the Pro Stock class. Pro Mount, sorry.
Awesome.
And, but that's, dropping another 250 pounds.
For sure, yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. I'm definitely going to have to drive that for a while to get used to that, as it took me, a year to learn how to drive 100 at 1,400.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I can do it.
Yeah, some tough characters up in that class for sure too. But it's as far as I'm concerned, it's kind of the premier class just because of the boat count and whatnot, and a little bit of controversy going in there right now with the big block versus small block and whatnot. And I think that's all pretty cool. Actually, it brings a little bit of spark back to it and some excitement, and a lot of technology coming around in that class. And it's going to be super exciting to watch. And if you do step up there, you'll just bring another element to that. So that's pretty cool. And what about you, Chip? Are you gonna hop in there at some time and do a little bit of racing, or no? Yeah.
I don't need to. I really enjoy watching her drive because she's such a natural at it. That
sure.
And the thing for me is I've been in the biggest high pressure racing situations that people can be in. It's. You have to win this round to win the championship. It's the final round of the final race of the year, and, the championship's on the line. And, man, there's a lot of pressure that goes along with that. And she is just – it seems like nothing phases her, She's in the boat, and that's something that we've really worked on a lot, from a racing point of view, is just focus on driving the boat, because that's all that matters. If you drive the boat like you're supposed to, you cut a good light, you go straight, you're probably going to get the results you want if you got a good running boat.
Absolutely.
So, and that's what happened at Bainbridge. It was kind of crazy because, we didn't know what class she was going to run in. So they talked about letting her run at 1,350 pounds or whatever, 1,325, whatever it was. So we pulled the weight out, and then she went back out there and made some laps like that, and we struggled testing all day Friday. We burned up 20 gallons of gas testing, trying to get the boat figured out because we never ran it like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then come Saturday morning, they said, okay, we're gonna combine all these classes. So we did that and just took a gamble at what we needed to do to get the boat set up. And we put some extra gas in there, and we were first ones on the ramp. And I told her, I said, you go down there and you just make a couple hits. And I said, just dial it in. I mean, at this point,
Yeah.
you got the trim computer, you know what to do. And you can't see at Bainbridge because it's, you know, it's down around the corner down there. And she goes down there, and I can hear the boat. It sounds good. And she calls me on the radio, and she says, Dad, we're good.
Yeah.
And it was man, for me it was amazing.
Yeah.
Watching her, and I never won no ODBA race, and she won her first one she ever went to. So
That's cool. Yeah. That's.
but I think what our plan is, they got some little 8 mile stuff around here. You can run 1,400 pounds. It's called Southeastern Drag Boat Association. So 1,400 pounds, 150 pounds of compression. That's going to be the first race we do, and that's on June 24th.
Nice.
So we're actually, I'm sorry, July 24th. So we're actually picking up her 150-pound compression heads tomorrow. We'll get that on, go break this new motor in. We've, when I tell you we built a whole new boat since November, I mean, it's a whole new boat minus the boat. You know, we had everything is brand new. We've been running for all these years that we've been racing, that I was racing with Jason, that Kenzie and I have been racing. We haven't had any data. So we have full Ames data acquisition now. We've done a lot of work with Kenny Anthony and Brendan Powers, and we've been talking to Dave Bush quite a bit. He's been a ton of help. He's an old motorcycle guy from back in the day,
sure
so
is,
it's cool to have him.
Yeah, brilliant man.
Yep, we just got some sponsorship stuff with Denso, and then the other really cool thing that we've been working on is the crankshaft. You know, it seems to me that these motors always vibrate really bad, so we spent a lot of time and a lot of money to get the crankshaft balanced. I have a friend, his name's Lon Moyer. He owns a company called Competition Engine Services here in the town where we live, and he was my tuner when I was running Pro Stock for Junior Pippins. Very, very smart guy. He's done NASCAR stuff, worked for Grays. They work on Lamborghinis, Ferraris, you know, any kind of engine. So I got with Lon and I was like, hey, I want to do this stuff with this crank. So we're, we worked on it all winter, and we finally cranked the motor up. It seems really smooth. We had a couple setbacks, so we're behind probably 3 weeks on getting the boat in the water from where we want to be. Mm-hmm. But I think that's going to be a big deal. Yeah. Try to smooth this thing out, because if it's smooth, it's going to make more power.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and what we've done with Kenny Anthony, and I'm really excited. And you can see by the look on McKenzie's face, she's excited.
I know she is. She's hiding it well, but I know
her.
she is.
I mean, that's her right there. She's just so monotone, and you know, nothing phases her. But I know she's excited to get back.
I think McKenzie, you know, your dad obviously racing pro stock motorcycle at the highest level. There's a lot psychologically to go along with that, and did he kind of teach you some stuff along the way, do you think, or are you just kind of naturally super chill, or?
Well, for a while there, he was teaching me some stuff, and then I started teaching him.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Because as I got older, I could tell, like, you know, when he got in his head, and I was like, hey, Dad, like, I'd say whatever. I'd try to, you know, motivate him and get him in the right mindset. And I used to show horses competitively, and I was state champion 3 years in a row in Indiana. So I learned a lot about mindset there, too. So my whole life has always been, you know, your mindset whenever you're doing sport or competition or whatever. Yeah. And so that's why I guess I do so good in boat racing. I did get a little frustrated when we went to Virginia. What race was that?
One of the VODBA races in Virginia, Manitoba, or however you say that deal.
But after we did the Rocks Pond, my first Rocks Pond race, And like I didn't expect myself to to get second and do so well. And then so I kind of like immediately put a lot of pressure on myself, and like I didn't do as good as I wanted to at that race, and I did get in my head and got a little upset. But after that, and then I was just like, it doesn't matter. Like, we're just going to do whatever we can do, and I'm going to do the best I can, and whatever happens, happens. And then in Bainbridge, I won, and I was like, well, this is cool. Like, I wasn't even expecting it.
Yeah.
So much. I was like, it was just really cool.